Okay,
Hopefully, this will be a nice distraction for you.
YouTube, the class.
Yes,
Okay, my grandchildren are wonderful distractions.
I know, but
Okay, so on page 890, we want to welcome back Gershon. I guess it doesn't have internet in the Holy Land. Okay, so we're here at 890, the seven species of Israel. Oh, let's find a document. Okay. The Torah lists seven types of produce for which the land of Israel is praised. One, wheat. Two, barley. Three, the grapevine.
yeah.
Four, the fig. Five, pomegranate. Six, olive oil. And seven, date honey. The land of Israel is associated with Malchus. Obviously, the earth nurtures seeds and produces grain. I don't know what the word is. I'm going to fill it in later.
Produce.
As you may have,
Produce. You've got it already.
it produces produce.
Yeah.
As you may have already guessed, the seven types of produce are associated with the seven lower spheres, Zerampin and Malchus. These are the six male spheres and the female sphera for a total of seven. Okay, Alan, please begin.
The seven species. Hashem is bringing you into a land of wheat, barley, grapevines, figs, and pomegranates, a land of oil, olives, and honey. These are the seven species to which the land of Israel is praised. In other words, Nukva, which is termed the land of Israel, needs to be praised, that is, blessed from Zeranpin's seven lower spheres. The phrase the land of Israel means the land that belongs to Israel. The land is an appellation of Nukva de Zeranpin, the mate of Zeranpin. One of those appellations is Israel.
Now, it's not clear to me. You may have this question. It's not clear to me. Does Malchus exist in both places? Does it exist in Nukva as well as in the male component? It's not. I was not sure. Might write it here. Sometimes we speak about the six spheres of Zerampin by themselves. In this case, it's clear Malchus plays an integral part, being that all produce grow from the earth, the feminine component. Go ahead, Alan.
These are the six spheres that remained above plus her malchus, equaling seven. It thus becomes a male principle relative to her, as we have explained.
Okay, three. The first product of Israel, wheat, is associated with the right side of the Sephardic tree, Chachma or Chesed. Maybe both. The Medrash says Torah is a microcosm of the supernal wisdom. The Talmud, the Medrash says, Novos Chachma Shalamayla Torah. Torah is a microcosm of the supernal wisdom, Chachma, and that word microcosm depends how you translate it. Chachma is from the right side, and Torah is comprised of the 22 letters of the alphabet. The word chita, wheat, has a gematria of 22. So therefore, chita, the first of the seven species, has gone to 22, and 22 letters of the alphabet stand for the wisdom of the Torah. So wheat is associated with chachma, or with the right side. Go ahead, Alan. This may be proven.
This may be proven by the fact that all types of fruit issue from the earth and are thus not from the male domain, but from the feminine domain.
Actually, the next one.
Wheat is from the right axis, that of Chachma. As our sages have said, the unripe version of the supernal Chachma is the Torah we know in this world. And the Torah is made up of the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet, this being the numerical value of the word for wheat, chita. Chita is ches tes hey, 8 plus 9 plus 5 equals 22.
Okay, 4. There's a counterpart in Klippa to Chachma. The last words of Eov's speech are Tachas Chita Yatsa Huach. In place of wheat, prickly plants grow. The prickly plant, Huach, also has a gematria of 22. Wheat exists in holiness, and the prickly plant is the counterpart in Klippa. Go ahead.
On the realm of evil, it is said, instead of wheat, may nettles grow there. The numerical value of the word for nettles, choch, is also 22. Hashem created the one thing opposite the other. Choch is ches vav ches, which is 8 plus 6 plus 8 equals 22. In general, every entity that exists in the realm of holiness has a corresponding entity in evil. This provides the opportunity for man to have free choice.
What's a nettle?
Something sharp.
What?
It's like a prickly thing. It's a prickly, sharp, sharpness.
I once was or several times, on the eastern shore of Maryland. And
Like spike.
I was warned that the water there, that there were a lot of jellyfish. Well, I peeked into the water and there were, I don't know, it looked like it was a lot of jellyfish, or I imagined it, or there were Ziplocs, I don't know. So I didn't go in. I think I mentioned it to Pam Cohn. Pam is from, I think it was Pam. She's from Annapolis, Maryland. She told me that the people there call them sea nettles. And I always thought till today that that was their accent of for sea needles. They call the jellyfish sea needles. Now I see that and I thought it was their accent. Now I see that nettles is a word. They call them sea nettles.
It's a flowering plant with stinging hairs.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Sounds like my beard.
But it has health benefits also.
Okay. Good,
According to West Virginia Public Broadcasting, is edible.
What?
According to West Virginia Public Broadcasting, is edible. How to eat a stinging nettle.
No, that's a jellyfish.
No. They show the plant.
But when they say stinging nettles, and they're talking about a kind of jellyfish.
No. Stinging nettle is a plant.
S-E-A, sea nettle. Gershon's saying something else, right?
This is the stinging nettle.
This is not a stinging nettle. They're talking C-S-E-A nettle.
Okay.
Which is in reference to a jellyfish.
Yeah, Gershon looked up something else, I think.
Yeah.
It's called nettle. Yeah. I used to take it. It's good for allergies.
Okay, Mr. Chemistry.
Yeah, I've been stung by jellyfish. It's not fun.
Me too.
All right. I was going to ask if you have them at the Cape.
Yep. In August for about a week or so, they come.
That's it?
Just a little time.
You spot any sharks, Jim?
No sharks. Not where I am.
Okay.
They're dogfish, but no sharks.
Okay, good. 5. The second product is barley. Barley is associated with the left side of the Sephardic tree, Bina or Gvura. The gematria of barley, Seora, is 575. The path for Gvura to hit 575 is somewhat involved. or as Gershon once told me way before we started learning, contrived. First, the final letters of the alphabet are associated with Gvura. That's Mem. Oh, here. The final letters, I should have put that up. Man Sapach, Mem Nun Sadik Pei Chof, are the letters that change shape at the end of a word. They're known as the finals, the five finals. So they're associated with Gvura. The final letters Man Sapach have a gematria of 40 plus 50 plus 90 plus 80 plus 20 is 280. Double it to give us 560. Since it's based on two sets of five final letters, we'll add 10 to 560, so we now have 570. And if we add the five states of Gvura, 570 plus 5, we get 575. Thus, we see from gematria that barley is associated with Gvura.
Yeah.
Speechless. Okay.
You can always find a way. You can always find a way in gematria to make things equal what you want it to equal by some way.
Yep. Yes. Okay. Jim, you want to continue?
Okay, so barley is from the left axis. You will find that the numerical value of the word for barley, seora, is twice that of the combined numerical values of the five final letters plus the unit value 1 for each of the 10 letters of the two sets of the final letters plus 5 unit values for each of the 5 states of Gevura. Seora, sin ayin resh hey, 300 plus 70 plus 200 plus 5, 575. Hey, the second letter of the name Chavaya, signifies the Sephira Bina, the top of the left axis of the Sephirot. Directly under Bina is Gevura, signifying restraint or withholding. Similarly, the final forms of the letters indicate a stopping of the flow of speech. The 5 letters of the final forms are Kof, Mem, Nun, Sadik, and Pei. Kof, Mem, Nun, Sadik, Pei, 20 plus 40 plus 50 plus 90 plus 80 is 280. 280 times 2 is 560. 560 plus 10 plus 5, 575.
Okay. 6. This is also the reason the offering brought by a sota, a woman suspected of adultery, is made of barley rather than wheat. A woman who is unfaithful is obviously associated with Gevura.
For this reason, the suspected adulteress brings a barley offering, for barley embodies the power of Gevura. The suspected adulteress, sota, is brought to the temple to submit to a right of judgment.
7. We now have another connection between, I don't remember what, for Gvura. In a prophecy regarding the destruction of Yerushalayim, Yechezkel the prophet describes 6 men coming from the north, each carrying a sledgehammer. This is a prophecy. And you might know that Ezekiel has very stark and graphic prophecies. One man was dressed in linen and carried a scribe's tools, possibly a slate, inkwell, or stylus at his waist. Hashem called the man with the scribe's tools and ordered him to pass through Yerushalayim and mark the letter Tav on the foreheads of the righteous. Hashem then told the other 5 men to go through the city and kill everyone without the Tav on their forehead, without compassion, old, young, women, and children. The Gemara adds that Hashem instructed the man with the scribe's tools to write the letter Tav in blood on the foreheads of the wicked. One explanation is the tav on the foreheads of the righteous stand for the word tichya, you shall live, while the tav written in blood stands for tamus, you shall die. We had this keses hasofer, the scribe's tools. I think we had it in this class. I think I need to read. I think we had in this class. I could check in the index where it says all the verses, the source for all the verses, or we had it in our. I think we had it there. We also may have had it in the Friday night class, but I think we had this maybe a year or two ago. The word in Yechezkel for slate, inkwell, or stylus is keseh, and its gematria is 560, twice the value of the 5 final letters mansapach. So this is almost a sidebar, parenthetical point about connecting mansapach, the 5 final letters, with an incident that's obviously connected with Gevura, with judgment. Okay. Zadie's giving a class. Okay. Here is Many.
Hello.
Many say hi to Zadie's friends.
Hello.
Hold on. Let's go here. There you go. Say hi to Zadie's friends.
Hello.
Here's Gershon and Alan and Jim. Many is my
And Rudy.
companion. We went to where did we go today? Went to the store. And tell them who you gave a cookie to. Who did you give a cookie to?
Macher.
Not a schnitzel, a cookie. Who did you give a cookie to?
Doggy.
How many doggies?
2, 3,
2 doggies. What were the doggies' names?
Frida.
Frida. And do you remember the other doggie? What?
Wait, I know Frida.
Lucy. What did Lucy do with her cookie?
I fall on the ground.
She dropped it on the grass.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. That's our commercial break.
I see.
They're here. Okay, so we did this. Jim, go ahead.
The Archangel Gabriel also derives from this aspect of spirituality. Therefore, he has the inkwell of the scribe at his waist. The numerical value of the word for inkwell, hesed, is also twice that of the combined numerical values of the final letters. The ink of judgment originates in this inkwell, which God uses to mark all the righteous of humanity, as is written, and you shall draw a line on the foreheads of the men. These verses are taken from a vision in which the prophet Ezekiel is shown how God plans to destroy Jerusalem. Delivering the consequence of sin is certainly an act of Gevura and is therefore executed by Archangel Gabriel. However, God also tells Gabriel to use the ink to mark a sign on the foreheads of the men who sigh and moan for all the abominations done within the city, and not to approach any man upon whom is the sign. Thus, the ink sign also evinces Gevura here in the sense of restraint of the execution of God's wrath. Kesed, Kuf, Samech Tov, 100 plus 60 plus 400 is 560, same as the last letters we just talked about. Mhm.
Yeah. Now, we found the counterpart of wheat in klipa, if you remember before, in the last words of Eov's speech. It adds there, Vistachas Saora Basha. And in place of barley, basha. So you want to teach the class? You want to teach Sadie's class?
Hello.
No.
Yes.
So, tachas Sarah basha. So basha, the word itself means to smell bad, a foul odor. Here it apparently, it obviously refers to some kind of weed that has a bad odor. I used to walk back from yeshiva, and one of the kids I walked with pointed out they called it I think skunk cabbage.
Skunk cabbage.
Yeah.
Scoffed down along Converse Street. It says it is some kind of plant that grows. Anyways, that's an inferior substitute for barley. Is one of the commentaries explain that. The gematria of basha, what do you do? Good job. The gematria of basha, stinkweed, is 308. And this is the same as the name, again, we're going to do a little contrivance here. The name Elokim in expanded spelling, and I write it here, Aleph Lamed Pei, Lamed Mem Dalet, Hey Yud, Yud Vav Dalet Mem Mem, is 300, but we need 308. So we're going to add 8 for the 8 letters of secondary spelling. That's not counting the primary letters. So the Aleph, we're going to use the Lamed and Pei, Lamed, Mem, and Dalet. The Hey, just the Yud. And the Yud, use the Vav and Dalet, and the Mem, just use the second Mem. Not the primary letters. And so 8 letters, now we have 308. And thus, stinkweed is the counterpart in Klippa for barley. Go ahead.
Also, the time when evil is ascendant, it is written, instead of barley, may stinkweed grow. This is the principle of the name Elohim, spelled out with the letter Yud plus unit value for the 8 letters of the spelling out. The name Elohim signifies God's attribute of judgment. When the name Elohim is spelled out using a Yud to spell out the Hey, we have Aleph, Aleph 1, Lamed 30, Pei 30. Lamed, Lamed 30, Mem 40, Dalet 4. Hey, Hey 5, Yud 10. Yud, Yud 10, Vav 6, Dalet 4. Mem 40, total 300. There are 8 letters used to spell out the name itself. These are indicated in bold in the above chart. The numerical value for the word stinkweed is Beit Aleph Shin Hey, 2 plus 1 plus 300 plus 5, 308. Stinkweed is thus the opposite for barley in the realm of evil, signifying Gevurah of evil.
Beep, 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 beep. Beep, 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 beep.
Why don't you sing like Tortilla?
Beep,
Go
beep,
to ABC.
beep, 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 beep. Beep, 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 beep,
Okay.
beep,
Where are we? Okay, so this we have 2. We did chita, we did wheat, and we did saora barley. Next is grapevine. Number 9. The third product of Israel is the grapevine. It is in the middle axis of the Sephardic tree. The third sphera is Tiferes, which is associated with the name Havaya. We've learned many times about the expanded spelling about Havaya. There are different ways to spell the names of the Hebrew letters, and all are legitimate. Based on how you spell the names of the letters Hey and Vav, the gematria of expanded spelling of Havaya could be 72, 63, 45, and 52. The sum of all 4 variations of expanded spelling is 232. T.O.? In our very first class, 11 years ago, I mentioned this, that the sum of all 4 is 232 and is the same as Yehi or, when Hashem said, let there be light. Or perhaps Vayehi or, there was light. Okay. The gematria of Havaya, without expanded spelling, is 26. If we subtract the primary letters from 232, we get 128. So 232, which is all four together, minus the primary letters, that's four Havayas. So minus 4 times 26, and we get 128, but we're not done. If we add four of the letters of Havaya, one for each letter of Havaya, and add the kollel, we now have 133, the same as Geffen, grapevine. Geffen, 3, 80, and 50. So go to the stairs and tell her. This shows the connection between the third product of Israel, grapevine, and the center axis associated with Havaya. Okay, go ahead.
The grapevine originates in the middle axis between the right and the left. The word for vine, Geffen, alludes to the numerical value of the spellings out of the four ways of the spelling out of the name Havaya, 128, plus the four letters of the name itself and the kollel. Geffen, Gimel Pei Nun, 3 plus 80 plus 50 is 133. As we've seen previously, there are four standard ways of spelling out the name Havaya, giving numerical values of 72, 63, 45, and 52. If we wish to consider only the numerical value of the letters used in the spelling out process, we must subtract the value of the name itself, 26, from each of these values. 72 minus 26 is 46. 63 minus 26, 37. 45 minus 26 is 19. 52 minus 26 is 26. If we then add all these three remainders, we have 46 plus 37 plus 19 plus 26 equals 28. When to this, we add four unit values, 4 times 1, for the four letters of the name plus the kollel, we have 128 plus 4 plus 1, 133, the numerical value of Geffen. This demonstrates the association between the grape and the name Havaya, which is the channel for Tiferet, the central sephira of the middle axis.
Number 10. These three, Chachma, Bina, and Das, represented by wheat, barley, and grapevine, enter Ze'er Anpin. So from Chachma, Bina, and Das, the intellect, it goes into Ze'er Anpin, and from Ze'er Anpin, in turn, imparts some of that to Malchus. Gershon, you want to continue?
Where are we? These three
Yes.
are the mental states that enter Zerampin from Chochmah Bina Das, and Zerampin imparts some of their energy to Malchus. Wheat and barley were associated above explicitly with Chochmah and Bina, while the grape was not explicitly associated with Das. It was demonstrated that it relates to the central axis on which Das is situated directly above Tiferes.
Now it says that we've learned that the spheres are divided into triads. The top triad, Chachma, Bina, Das, the middle triad, Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes, and the lowest triad, Netzach, Hod, Yesod. Malchus is usually situated beneath all 9 other spheres. However, it can rise to the level of the lowest triad, to the middle triad, and it can even rise higher to the level of Keser, a crown. Zerampin imparts to Malchus in different ways, depending on where Malchus is situated. The higher Malchus is, the relationship between Zerampin and Malchus changes, and We did learn that Malchus rises, everything rises on Shabbos and during the year of Shemitah. We talked about that.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead, Gershon. However,
there are different levels of how he imparts them to her. When she is situated entirely below him, he gives them to her in one way. When she is level with his Netzach Hod Yesod, he gives them to her in a superior way. When she is level with his Hesed Gevurah Tiferes, he gives them to her in a yet more subtle way. And when she becomes the crown of his head, she receives them on a par with him. We have described the union of Zer Anpin and Nukba to be necessary in order to preserve the balance of consciousness between abstract inspiration and active inspiration, between the desire to leave the world and become absorbed in divine consciousness and the desire to make the world into a fitting setting for divine consciousness to flourish. These are the male and female aspects of consciousness of both men and women, respectively. The male must couple with the female in order to be properly oriented toward the purpose of life, while the female must couple with the male in order to preserve her perspective and not fall prey to the forces of non-divine consciousness, evil. These couplings can occur on various levels, depending on the mental state of Nukba.
yes. Okay. No comment on the
Okay.
mental state of the Nukba. So there's a line from, and we'll stop with the next thing. There's a line from the Gemara, Amr Razal, a famous line from the Gemara that the righteous sit in the world to come, and they sit with their crowns on their heads. So here we're going to explain that the crown, I think, is referring to Malchus. And here's what we said, that Malchus goes to Keser. There's another name for Keser, Atrasein, Atara. The Hebrew word Atara, like the English word tiara, crown. So, and Malchus rises to that level, will rise, I guess, in the world to come. But I was not, you can see I didn't get to it on the notes. Gershon, go ahead. 894, the sages said.
The sages said that in the messianic future, the righteous will sit with their crowns on their heads. Know that on the Sabbath, when Zer Anpin ascends to the level of Abba and Ima, only its inner dimension ascends, whereas its outer garment remains below, at its normal level of consciousness. Nukba then ascends to the level with his inner dimension, becoming a crown over the head of his garment, which remained below in its usual place. It is then that she receives all this spelling out of the name Habaya on par with him. The ideal state, of course, is for Nukba to be fully matured, postured as the crown of Zer Anpin, receiving insight and inspiration on par with him. This state will be fully realized only in the messianic future, when the task of elevating and refining the world into a home for Hashem will have been accomplished, and it will no longer be necessary for Nukba to descend in contracted states of consciousness in order to elevate the lower realms of reality on from their level. The Sabbath is a taste of the world to come, and therefore this state is semi-realized on the Shabbos.
Okay, so we did 3. We did Chita, Sara, Geffen. We did wheat, right side of the axis, barley, left side of the axis, and then Geffen, the grapevine, from the center of the axis. Next week, I'm not sure if we're having a class. We have the LYA graduation. So we probably, yeah, so maybe we'll do the class Wednesday night instead. We'll see how that goes.
Okay.
Let me just
Wednesday nights, I won't be here. I won't be here